Hail, you cool kittens and kittens. So, yes, we also watched Tiger King.
Yes, and what a joy.
Keep
What
that
a
mic real
joy.
close.
Okay.
Closer.
Well,
You just backed your head up.
yeah, because it's like right in my face and my eyes.
Is that better? Have your face?
I guess.
Yeah, that's better. So, yeah, we watched Tiger King. We did what, in 2 days? 3 days?
Probably more like
One more.
4.
I spread it
because
over there because I skipped out.
you-
Skipped out.
He's the worst person to like
Start binge
start
watching.
watching a show, especially one that's like one that you're gonna want to binge watch because he does not binge watch. Like, who doesn't binge watch on Netflix? That's what it is for.
Yeah, I can't. I'll lose interest in it.
Yeah. So then you
I just
make
got to take little
me
tastes.
get super interested, and then I have to like watch.
Well, you're the one that wanted to watch it to
one
begin with. You're
episode
like,
a
oh, we
day.
got to watch this.
Yeah, it's like sometimes I have to just be like, do I want to even ask him if he wants to watch this? Because I know I'm going to have to like have extreme patience to finish something if we even finish it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of series that we've not finished because you end up losing interest.
Yeah, I don't think I've finished The Mentalist. I don't think I finished
Arrow.
Oh, I lost interest in that real quick. We were like maybe
We watched a couple
2 seasons
seasons,
in.
yeah.
Blacklist, which is still on. Stop
It
watching
is?
that. Yeah,
Wow.
I think. Walking Dead stopped.
Yep.
But we did binge watch that a lot. We went hard.
Yeah.
That's a show I somehow kept interest in. They killed off every character I didn't like until Glenn, and then I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, that was
Done.
tough to recover from.
Yeah,
Like
I
losing
think
Glenn,
I got one
you're
season
just
after
like,
that, and I was like, I'm kind of good. They're keeping Negan on for way too long. I don't like it. So, yeah, I can't. But what a crazy show.
The Walking Dead.
No. Oh, sorry, it wasn't a
Tiger
show.
King.
Tiger King. It's a docuseries, whatever kind of
Yeah.
show. That was nuts.
It was.
I always wonder, like I was saying when we were watching, like, how did we not hear anything about this? It was
Yeah.
in Florida while we were in Florida.
But not really.
2016?
The lady's husband dying?
No, that, obviously not. But all this other stuff going down, like,
Well, he's from Oklahoma.
I know, but
remember?
the whole feud was back and forth, and a lot of it having to do with,
Yeah.
like, they tried to kill her while she was in Florida, while we were living. Was it while we were in Tampa?
No.
2016, 2017?
I think we moved there in 2017. I don't remember when.
Maybe it was right after we moved there. Still, I mean, like,
Well, you know how long
that
we
not make
haven't
national news?
had, like,
yeah, you're right. We didn't
Regular
watch it.
cable.
That's true. We haven't had TV in a long time.
there's a lot of news we don't see
Yeah.
because we don't watch the news.
We're just both sitting here picking our toes, and I think the camera can see it.
Ew, why would you say that?
I'll
It's
crop
so
in,
embarrassing.
and then I'll crop back out. So people,
Should have worn socks.
yeah, no, that was timely for that to come out.
What?
The Tiger King, because everybody's stuck inside.
Oh, the memes, they're great.
The memes are great. I bet you the views are probably triple what they would have normally been, just because everyone's at home.
I doubt it. I think Netflix is just people binge watch it regardless.
Yeah, I was listening to this guy.
They
He was
just
like,
start running out of things to binge watch now.
He's like, I can't. Excuse me. He's like, I can't wait for the coronavirus to be over so I can binge watch Netflix on my own terms. I was like, yeah.
I
pretty
started rewatching. I don't know if I said this last time, but I started rewatching Grey's Anatomy, which loving.
For those who have already watched the whole thing, they just call it Grays.
Yeah, you don't call it Grey's Anatomy. Yeah, and like. What's funny, though, is because the shows that I normally keep up with, like weekly on Hulu, I haven't been keeping up with because my schedule is so off. So normally I'm like, okay, it's Tuesday, so this show was on, live yesterday because it's always like the day after. So I'm like, okay, let me watch this show. and then the next day it'll be like 2 of my shows will have a new episode, and I'm like behind on those. Probably because I've been watching Grey's instead. It's hard to do a podcast when you got coronavirus. Just,
Yeah.
I don't know why. Literally, you've been coughing for weeks.
It's my allergies.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
It really is. I mean, it's like it's not a dry cough.
Honestly,
It's a wet cough.
I wonder if we
mucusy.
have it. I truly do.
I
We would
doubt it.
never know because we can't get tested.
Yeah, I don't have enough symptoms to warrant a test.
And not everybody has
We
really
called.
crazy symptoms.
I called because I was in New Orleans when everyone was getting infected. And I called the CDC, whatever,
The
the
Florida,
Florida Department of Health or whatever it was. Orange County Department of Health.
Department of Health.
And they were like, "Oh, well, sir, why do you think that you need to get tested?" And I'm like, "Well, I kind of don't know. Like, I have a wet cough." I'm like, "Well, that's not one of the symptoms." I'm like, "My nose is runny. You sure it's not allergies?" I think it might be, but I was in New Orleans, and I was on Bourbon Street, with a ton of people, and at a convention center with a ton of people, and she was like, "No, just keep social distancing, and if you get fevers, then you have something to be worried about." And I was like, "Okay." Okay. I've been just washing hands and trying not to touch anything, staying at home.
Yeah, but you cough all over everything.
I cough all over everything at the house. I've been doing it for weeks. I don't have it. But it's a new routine though. And we've been exploring that for the last couple of days, and it's interesting. I don't mind it as much. Like the first week that we've been trapped here, I was just dead tired every morning, and then not tired at night. And for the last few days, we've been like getting up, making sure that we are doing something like educational with the boys, and just kind of really trying to stick to
setting a routine.
a routine, yeah. And getting out and doing yard work in the morning before it gets too hot, and then I'm a pretty good energy in the morning, and then I'm tired at night, and that's kind of how it should be, right?
You burp so much. I'm like, you want this to be videoed, and people are just gonna see you turning your head to burp like.
Do you think
100
that people don't burp on this show? on their podcast?
I haven't.
I burp, dude. What?
Excessive.
I'm a gassy man.
It's like you make it more obvious the way you do it because you're filming. Like if we weren't filming, nobody would know. But you're like,
I can't burp into a sensitive mic.
I know, but I'm just hit me funny.
It's gonna be hard to cut the audio out of that. And jump back in if you're just like right in the microphone. Nobody wants to hear that. My deep lung air, gut air. So the new routine, I'm liking it. I feel like last few nights I've been just going to bed at regular time, like sleeping through the night. So that's nice.
It's
a good
funny
change.
to like, as an adult, be like, yeah, I slept through the night. And it's like when you have kids, you're like trying so hard to get them to sleep through the night. It's like an accomplishment. And then when you become an adult, you don't sleep through the night anymore. Why?
I don't know, but it's a
I
chore
really
to
pretty
get
much
through the
never
night.
do for a long time, but even worse since we had kids, I think, because it's like your brain is still on because you have like other people to protect in a sense or
something.
listen for.
It's something.
Yeah. And I feel like I just like it makes me even lighter of a sleeper than I normally am.
Yeah, it's either that or I'm like waking up because you wake me up or something.
Or you, like last night, you said you slept through the night. You didn't.
It was last night?
You woke up.
I woke up. I had a bad dream last night. You're
Yeah,
right.
and you're like
But I
looking
went right
around the
back to
house
sleep.
with a gun last night.
Yeah, I thought I heard somebody busting in the joint.
And I'm just like over here like, what just happened?
I thought
I
I
was
heard-
asleep.
I was in a dream and
You
like
got up and I
the
hear
way-
you like digging through the drawer. And I'm like, what is this guy doing?
I was
It's
trying not to wake you
the
up.
middle of the night.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then I hear like the, and I'm like,
the
this
gun's already
freaking
loaded,
guy.
bro.
What?
You didn't hear that. The gun's already loaded.
How did I know you were holding a gun, though?
Because
in
I
the
showed you
pitch
the night
black?
sights.
I didn't look at the
Yeah,
night
you did.
sights.
I showed them to you. Anyway, in my dreams, normally when I wake up, if I'm woken up out of a dream, what I'm dreaming of starts to transform into whatever it's waking me up. So if somebody wakes me up with a vacuum cleaner, somebody in my dream just popped out a vacuum cleaner for no reason. And I'm like, okay, somebody's vacuuming. And I wake up. So I just, all of a sudden, I was in a dream and some dude, I feel like he was trying to break into the neighbor's house. But for whatever reason, when I woke up, I'm like, somebody's trying to get in. And so I just got up, got the strap, and
I'm not gonna lie,
took a
that
patrol.
terrifies me because it's like if you're like in a dream so intensely, and you wake up and you feel like you need to like
I just felt like I need to take a
check in real life. Like, what if you just never know
What if what?
what you're capable of?
Capable
You're
of...
like gonna think it's like real, but it's a dream still or something.
Nah.
You don't think so?
Nah. I don't think... I mean...
I don't know.
You never know.
I'm
But
just saying, my mind goes there because I'm like, you're really quick to grab the gun in the middle of the night.
better
to,
hope
like,
I am.
check out the house.
Somebody climbing through a window, you better hope I'm quick with it.
Yeah.
I got those police instincts still, man.
Yeah.
Center mass, dude. Anyway. Yeah. It's been a crazy last few days. I sliced halfway into my finger with a butter knife and blood all over the place.
Like,
and
who knew that's even possible?
Well, you bought the sharpest butter knives I've ever seen.
They are actually really sharp.
Uncannily sharp. So, yeah, I did that and wounded myself pretty badly.
Yeah.
It took a whole, probably, 12 hours to get the bleeding to, completely stop.
Maybe even longer.
Could have been even longer. Might even be a whole day. Took forever. And we had, man, I'm telling you, Jesus had me on a leash that day because I was flipping out.
Yeah, I'm over here to take a nap.
You're
I'm over here
you're
trying
taking
to
a
take
nap while I'm cooking dinner, just so you guys know how late in the day you took a nap.
I was like dead that day.
That was a 4:30 p.m. nap.
Dead, yeah. So
I'm cooking dinner and feeding the boys.
you could have woken me up, but
could've.
instead you woke me up.
I was trying to be
with,
nice. I was trying to be nice. I'm trying to
Slamming
cut a bag open. I don't know why. I should have just used scissors or sliced away from myself, but I cut blade in between my fingers like this. Like, I had my finger curled around the bag and the knife going in between two fingers.
Who does that?
I was rushing because I forgot the vegetables, and so I was trying to cut the vegetable bag open. So I was just in a rush, cut super deep. I immediately knew it was a catastrophic incision because it didn't hurt at first. It almost felt like just sheer impact. Like I just hit bone. Boom. It felt like something hit my hand really hard instead of like cut. It wasn't like a paper cut sting. It was just sore. Like I hit it with a hammer. And so I was like, oh, that's deep. And I just rushed, put my finger in the sink. I was just trying to see, is there butter in my cut or whatever? Is there pieces of broccoli from, going through the bag? And I was looking, and everything looked clean. And then blood was just, flowing out of my finger. Run into the bathroom. There's no Band-Aids because you used every Band-Aid on dry skin. And I was
Levi.
Or Levi, because Levi, if he gets the slightest little nick on him, bleeding or not, he wants a Band-Aid on it. So you put Band-Aid. So there's no Band-Aids. There's no tape. There's no wrap. There's no gauze. There's nothing. We didn't have paper towels. We had 4 sheets of a paper towel left because coronavirus. Everybody bought everything. So I've got the same bloody 4 little pieces of paper towel on my finger. I'm just wringing it out and then sticking it back on and wringing it out and sticking it back on, trying to stop the bleeding. And finally, you were able to get to the store, get me the stuff I need. And man, It was a
Well,
stressful
yeah,
night.
you missed the part where you're slamming drawers.
I couldn't find a Band-Aid, and then the drawers that I was opening were not closing, so I would open a drawer and like something would pop up, and I'm trying to shut the drawer and they wouldn't shut.
So
So
I
I
wake
started
up-
getting super, super angry because I'm like, there's no, dinner's about to burn. It was super good. It's about to burn because I didn't turn anything off. I can't find a Band-Aid. These drawers aren't shutting. I'm in such pain. I can't even think. And so I'm just like slamming drawers. And
So
finally you
I
wake up and
up
you're like,
and
what's
I'm like,
going on? I'm
"What's
like, go to the
happening?"
store. I just cut my finger off.
And then Levi comes up to me and he's like, starts crying.
Yeah,
because
'cause I
he's
yelled
like,
at him.
Daddy cut his
Yeah,
finger.
I scared him.
Yeah, you scared him. Like,
Yeah.
you went a little overboard.
I mean, for how bad my cut was, I felt like I didn't scream at anybody. I didn't
It's not about screaming.
slam
like,
anything.
Levi was scared you
I
were
didn't-
like dying or something.
yeah.
Like, he was actually scared.
Yeah. It hurt. It hurt really bad. And then, the stores are out of this, out of that. So it's
So
just
slow,
so
too.
incredibly slow. Of course, we had to go to CVS, and CVS, for some reason, you got to wait for them to print out that scroll.
Yeah.
Hear ye receipt paper scroll, where you just.
Well, then he was, when I was there, he's trying to sign me up with this new thing that they
Oh, would you like to sign up for? You're buying first aid
But I was
kits.
like,
you
yeah.
got bandages, you got all this
I
stuff.
signed up.
And then you're like, yeah, of course,
because it
I'm
saved,
not bleeding.
It literally saved me like $25.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll do it because I spent like $50 on first aid stuff.
Yeah. Well, now we're fully
For you.
stocked, which is good.
Yeah.
Fully stocked.
But
So
it's
that
crazy.
happened.
I'm
which
like,
was
now is
fun.
not the time for any of this to happen.
Yeah, it was bad.
Because I had just lost my job,
Yeah.
right? You've lost your job. And then
we
I'm
were
like,
contemplating stitches, and I'm like, I don't even have insurance for myself.
yeah, you don't have insurance. Like, if you really needed
Yeah.
to go to the hospital, you don't have insurance.
Yeah.
And I'm over here spending $50 on first aid stuff and then praying you don't have to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So I was like taking pictures of my finger and sending them to like nurse friends that I have. I'm like, does this look like it
Yeah.
needs stitches? And I'm like, oh, it
And
looks,
my mom,
looks
so she
all
can
right.
talk to the doctors
Yeah.
at work.
So it turned out everything's all healed up. It only took maybe like a day of bandaging, and then the next day after that, so maybe like 48 hours, and I could go without a
Back
bandage.
to Band-Aids. So I want to know what people's opinions are about Band-Aids. Because you think that me and Levi, like, overuse and
If you're not
abuse
bleeding,
Band-Aids.
you don't band-aid.
That is your
Period.
opinion. My opinion is
If your skin's dry, if you've got a piece of loose skin, if
it's a protective barrier,
yeah,
in my opinion.
yeah, okay.
So if you have,
You're wearing one right now.
because I rip half my nail off, which is another thing. If I didn't have this Band-Aid on, because I'm too scared to cut the nail off because it's really low and I don't want to hurt it anymore, so I'm going to leave it there until it is not as sensitive and grows out a little bit and then cut it off because it's half broken off. So I put a Band-Aid on to protect the nail from snagging on stuff and
That
ripping more.
Kind of makes sense, but you also use them if you've got like eczema,
Yeah, because it hurts.
or on Levi if he's got a red spot on his skin.
Okay, well, for him,
That's valuable material right there. You're talking about high-end $16 a box waterproof Band-Aids because
he's a kid.
he's got-
Sometimes he just needs to feel like
But-
his mommy is gonna
Oh, man.
take care of him when he gets a
sometimes it's like
boo-boo.
every time.
Well,
And then we're out of Band-Aids and I'm bleeding to death.
I'm sorry, the Band-Aid wouldn't have helped you
No,
in that
so this
situation
was the other
anyways.
thing, too.
You really
We
just
had
needed paper towels.
one super tiny, like kids waterproof Finding Nemo Band-Aid. We had one. And I set it on the counter so that I could go, I don't even remember, maybe like turn the stove off because it was just burning dinner to death. So I go back. I shut everything off. I get the napkin off my hand. I'm looking at it. I look back down at Levi, and he has the Band-Aid completely unwrapped and stuck to his fingers. I was like, no!
He's like, yes.
He's like,
He loves
I was just
Band-Aids.
trying to help. And I'm like, dude, we don't have any antibiotic ointment or anything. I have nothing to clean my
We did
finger with.
actually, but you didn't look
Oh, he did?
at that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I couldn't find it. So I'm like, well, there goes that. He just dirtied up my Band-Aid. I can't put that on, because kids, they're harbingers of germs. They're just giant germ motherships. So anything that his fingers touch, you got to assume there's like, I don't know, biohazard level anthrax on his fingers at any given time.
Coronavirus.
There's coronavirus on there. There's everything. There's, bubonic on his finger. You don't want to touch. You don't want that in an open wound.
Yeah.
So that was fun. And then what? Last night, hamster gets out of his cage twice.
Twice. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm on the phone with my mom, FaceTiming, just catching up. Hey, check out our hamster. Hamster's not in the cage.
Where's the hamster?
Not in the cage. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Levi must have left the cage
And
open.
it's a drop.
Yeah, it's on like a 3.5
Like
foot
shelf. It's yeah.
Yeah. So he's not in his cage and he's not on the shelf. So he just fell off the shelf. And so I'm like, Levi, you can't be opening the cage, all this kind of stuff. And so we get it back in, and then we're watching TV.
We're sitting at
we're watching TV. It is,
9
we only
o'clock
have
at
one
night.
light on.
Yeah.
It's the kitchen light, and our living room is like across from the kitchen. And I just see this little shadow. And I'm
We're
"What was
both
that?"
like, what?
And I see it again. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is that? And I get up, and I look in the kitchen,
Hamster.
and the hamster.
He's like looking at us like,
Hamster looks over at me. I was like,
and then he's like,
babe, the hamster's out.
bye.
Yeah, he just he bolts down the hallway, and we can't find him.
We can't find it.
He rounds a corner and he's gone. And so like our kitchen is like our kitchen opens up to a dining room, and then on the
It's
back
like a
side
big
of the
square.
kitchen, on the back side of the
hall.
kitchen is another hallway.
The walking area.
So you can just go around in circles around it. So he goes around the corner, I run this way, you run after him, and he's gone. So we're like, oh my gosh.
And of course, which we're pretty good about keeping all the doors closed for the most part because
we don't want
of
the
the
boys
kids.
in the room.
Yeah.
And we really
Keep
our bedroom
keeping them
door's
out of
open.
the office, keep
Yeah.
them out of the bathroom, But
They were already in bed, so all the doors were
doors
open.
were open.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it's like, which one did this stinking
Pitch black.
hamster get into?
So the hamster, Boyer is his name. Boyer goes in. He could have been in our bedroom, which there was laundry that wasn't folded. Our underneath of the bed was just some stuff under there, but,
But
not
we
a lot.
have- yeah, we have,
got
like,
a
stuff that
closet
we
that doesn't
store
have
under
doors
there.
on it. That just has like curtains hanging in front of it. So he could have been in our closet in a whatever, my camera bag, boxes, dirty laundry, whatever. And then the office door was open, so he could have been like anywhere in here under this stuff. This was easier to go through. And then we went. The first thing I did was run into the bathroom because that's the closest thing. And I look in the bathroom,
Smallest room.
There's nothing.
You're
He's
like,
not
"Nope,
anywhere.
not in here."
So we're searching everywhere. And I'm like, it was probably 15, 20 minutes we're looking for this
Yeah.
hamster. Just quiet. Just quiet. Just listening.
Because
the
we have
pitter-patter.
hard floors.
Yeah, so
so
we're
it's
just
like,
listening for pitter patter.
we'll hear feet.
Nothing. Can't hear a thing. So finally, you go back. You're just going to sit down and watch TV. I'm like, I'm just going to watch the hallway. So I go to the bathroom, and then I close the door, and I walk. And as I'm walking out, I hear, and I was like, what was that? And I'm listening, and I was like, oh, hold on a second. I just heard him. So I open up the bathroom, and our counter, or vanity, or whatever they call that, was ordered, or it's too small for the wall.
It doesn't have to go
By
wall to wall.
just a couple of inches on each side.
This
so
is going to be the
no,
the great
This
debate
is-
for the
this
rest
is-
of our
this
life.
is how this is
the
how
vanity does not need to
it
touch
doesn't
wall to
it doesn't
wall.
touch wall to wall.
There are plenty of vanities that are centered
Sure,
in the bathroom.
absolutely.
But regardless,
there's
inches on
inches
each
on
side.
One side has more inches than the other.
Yeah.
And that's the side that I checked because I honestly didn't think the little hamster could fit on the other side. Well, guess where the hamster is?
Right, and it's the
On the
most
far side of the bathroom, in the
awkward
corner,
place to get to.
in about 3 inches, if that, of a space between the wall and the vanity. What a conundrum.
Yeah.
Because I can't reach in there. We don't have any poles or anything that can get in on that angle.
It's
and
a
so-
tiny bathroom. It's hard to even have two people in there at once.
Yeah.
Let alone
You can't sit on the toilet and open the door. That just doesn't happen. So it's a very small bathroom.
Yeah.
And so I had to go grab a hanger, and I had to grab a hanger and shoo him out of the edge. And finally, we got him in. Come to find out, it wasn't Levi at all that left the cage open, obviously, because he got out. There was like a little attachment hole
Where you
that
can
wasn't
attach
screwed
like
on.
tubes on, but if you don't have the tubes, it's like a little cover thing to leave the hole closed.
Yeah.
And that thing either got loose and he was just pushing it. Because at night, I keep a camera on him just to like, because I'm curious to see what he does at night.
Yeah.
He definitely, like, you can see that he's thinking of how to get out.
He's plotting.
He's plotting.
He's a sneaky little guy.
He's probably been like every night, like, what's
Figuring
that
it out.
movie? The jail one.
The jail one?
Where the guy's like carving the wall and he keeps a poster like covering it until he can get out of the jail.
Escape from Alcatraz?
No.
Law-abiding citizen?
No. You're so
He got out of jail.
off.
No, he got out of jail in that one. He was coming out. Gerard
Okay,
Butler. He
but
kept getting out of jail.
that's not
He kept sneaking
what
out.
I'm
It was-
talking
it was
about.
I don't know. There's a lot of getting
It's
out
a
of jail
classic.
movies. Classic.
Yeah.
High Noon at Mega Mountain. 3 Ninjas.
What is that? That is no one's ever heard of that. I've never heard of that movie. I can't remember.
Gets out of jail.
Anyone
Who's in it?
listening will know.
Who's in it?
Morgan Freeman.
Glory?
No, but he's not the guy in jail. He's like the guy's
Who else is
friend.
in it? Tommy Lee Jones?
I don't know. Just some white guy. I don't know who he is.
Morgan Freeman.
He gets put in jail.
Morgan Freeman's in jail?
No, the white guy.
The white guy.
And I think like he didn't do it or something, but it didn't matter. Or he did. Doesn't matter. It's not the point, I guess. But he spent all these years that he was in prison just like scraping away, and made a hole. Anyways, so that's what Boyer's been doing. I really feel like he's been like trying to get that thing loose, and then he got it
Got out.
halfway. It wasn't even
Yeah,
open
he
or
squeezed
off.
out of
He
like an
squeezed
eighth
out
of an inch crack.
like yeah.
It's like he turned into a Dementor and just right out.
Yeah. So he got out, but at that point I was like, okay, this guy needs some like more space to run around and play.
Yes, we have some.
Because he doesn't use his wheel. I don't think. I've never seen him use it.
I mean, either.
But yeah, we got him some tubes and stuff to make life a little more interesting
Yeah,
because
so you could go up and catch a view.
yeah.
It's chores, man. These every project that we're like, it's nice. I really like.
Is it bad that part of me was like,
We shouldn't have gotten him. Yes.
I hope
It's
we
not
don't
bad.
find him?
Oh, that's bad. No, I mean he'd be.
I mean, I don't want him to be like dead in our house or
Yeah, he would
something,
smell
but like,
immediately.
I
No.
just like
Yeah, it's some. I mean, it was something I didn't want to have to
maybe
take
he'll
care
get
of.
out and get lost.
Yeah, I definitely. We got him, and I was like, do I really want to take care of this thing? But Levi does a really good job.
He's really good with it.
So
And then you like instantly blamed him for.
I mean, he's in there all the time. He's in there all the time, which
I'm
I get it.
surprised
He's playing
he
with his
didn't,
hamster.
like say something.
Yeah, he's just in there all the time. So, but yeah, it's these different things that we're doing now that we have the time because nobody's working. It's fun. All the things on the to-do list, like, we're finally taking care of the lawn and getting some of that stuff handled because we got like ants and weeds. Whoever had the lawn before us just
No grass.
there's no grass. It's all weeds and stickers and pokey things. So we're killing all of that, trying to grow some grass. There's ants everywhere outside. None inside the house, which I'm surprised. Outside, tons everywhere. You step out to take the trash out. If you're barefoot, you're getting lit up bad. So we're trying to do that. And then the garden's coming along really nicely. We ended up with, we bought a few milkweed plants because we grow butterflies. Raise butterflies. Monarch butterflies. It happens to be monarchs right now because there's monarchs in the backyard. They laid so many eggs. We had
Literally?
20-something, 30-something eggs and caterpillars.
26 26 or 29 that we brought inside because I noticed that like
Well, we had a bunch outside.
well they were all outside and I noticed that once the caterpillars started to get big, they would disappear. And I was like, what is going on? Every time they get big and they're about to like turn into their chrysalis, they disappear. Maybe they like left on their own or something's happening to them. Like something's taking them or eating them or whatever. So I just was like feeling really bad for the caterpillars because they kept disappearing.
I thought it was a bird. I thought I saw birds go in there a couple of times. Could have been.
So there was like a few milkweed plants that we hadn't planted yet. They were still in the pots, but they were in the garden. So I brought them inside and put them in this like net cage that we have. And so on those plants, there was like, I want to say it was 29 little baby caterpillars.
Dang.
Yeah. There was still on the plants, the milkweed that was planted already that I couldn't, bring inside into the patio. There was like another 20 caterpillars out there.
Yeah, there's a lot. These butterflies get busy.
Yeah, they just lay so many eggs. That's almost 50 eggs they laid in our garden. And they all hatched, which is insane.
So, for those of you who don't know, butterflies love different variations of the milkweed plant. When they're caterpillars, when they are about to turn, like, and they're in that last instar, their last whatever phase before they turn into a chrysalis, they go ham on these milkweed plants.
Eating them.
Just eating the leaves. If they run out of leaves, the stems. If they run out of the stems, the flowers. If they run out of flowers, they'll eat another chrysalis.
Yeah.
So we're trying to avoid that point. But we have even just one big fat caterpillar can just devour a whole entire 2 foot of milkweed leaves, just right through the whole thing. So we're going to the store, we're buying milkweed every day. It's crazy.
Insane.
And so
we'll go out there
so
and
now we're
like
growing
there's
our
nothing left of these plants except like the very center stalk. Everything and that's chomped down halfway,
So we're going and we're now growing our own milkweed and we figured out that what's killing them is
wasps.
Yellow jackets or wasps?
I mean, they're pretty much the same.
Yeah, who knows? I haven't gotten close enough to look.
I don't.
So now we gotta go get.
I saw a wasp attacking
traps.
the plant. So
and my thing would be I'm just gonna sit out there, with a can of Raid and snipe these guys, but Raid kills everything. Back when I was a kid,
toxic to the caterpillars.
When I was a kid, my dad taught me how to just snipe bumblebees and wasps and anything flying out of the sky with a can, that black can of Raid. You just, and he's dead instantly. As soon as it hits them, they're dead. So that was my go-to, but Jade was like, we need to get wasp traps.
Which is slightly terrifying.
It's horrifying. It's like this thing, it looks like a kid's toy. It's like
bright
neon green and yellow.
I guess it's a color that's attractive to them.
So they fly up into this like inverted cone and they can't fly back out. So they just starve to death in there? Or suffocate or burn? I don't know.
I don't know, but what really is creepy
I have no remorse
is
for
that
them.
when you look at the paperwork that comes with it, like the instructions, it tells you that if you really want to attract them, to throw like some ham in there. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What? It's a wasp.
They
eat meat? Like, I don't
I don't think of them as eating flesh.
I know. It's so gross.
Super gross.
And then it's in the sun.
Yeah,
just like this hot thing of meat. Ugh. Yuck. And it's creepy, too, to think that, it's like you have to empty it.
Yeah, if they're not dead, oh boy, are you getting lit up.
I bought it on Amazon, and I looked at the reviews, and people were like, it really works, and they were showing pictures of theirs. And it is full of wasps.
It's disgusting.
And I'm like,
I hate bugs.
What if you go to dump it and one is still alive?
You're getting lit, bro.
Yeah.
You're getting lit up.
Just having a garden, especially a butterfly garden, is
It's a chore.
really fun.
It's a lot of fun.
It's rewarding.
It's fascinating.
But it does come with things that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, for sure.
And sure, you could let nature just take its course, but it's kind of hard to when you're like kind of like, oh, I got all these caterpillars and this one's getting big, and then all of a sudden they disappear, and you're just like, you feel bad. Like,
yeah, you invest your time. I mean, we're inviting them in, and they get snatched up.
yeah.
Not
And
only
then-
snatched up, they get the egg of the wasp injected into them, which is
Yeah.
terrible. If it
It's
was just like they got
gross.
eaten, it'd be like, okay, circle of life. But
Yeah, the wasp will lay their eggs inside
inside,
of the caterpillar.
dude,
It's
if I was just getting,
disgusting.
it's nasty. Have you ever gotten stung by a wasp or a bee?
A bee, yes. One time in middle school, like we had like an outdoor eating area in middle school, and it had like a bunch of trees. And I was standing out there, and I felt something hit my head, fall on my head, I guess. And I thought it was like an acorn or something from the tree. So I was like, I went to like swipe it off, and it was a bee, and it stung my hand.
Ooh,
Yeah, it didn't hurt as bad, but maybe it's because it was just like a quick like. But
was the barb still in you?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Probably not.
Megan, my sister, is allergic to wasps.
Oosh.
She got stung, and her whole hand swelled up like when you blow up a glove.
Yeah.
Huge.
Jeez.
But yeah, so the wasp thing was not something I expected. I knew that they were like a predator of monarch caterpillars, but I thought they were like these little small wasps. I didn't realize that the regular big kind of wasps
Yeah.
could just come and pick up a caterpillar and take off with it.
Yeah.
So I don't want those in my
It
yard.
was kind of dry.
I know. I really feel like I have coronavirus right now. Like, I feel a little tight in the chest. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's
But
they're
I don't want
they're
them in
mean.
our yard. So it's like they know they can come and get food now
They know where the
from our
party's at.
garden.
They know where the party's at.
Yeah. So
It's like Golden
They
Corral,
keep-
50% off. Let's go.
I'll be over
And all
there
the
trying to
wasps show
look at the milkweed and see if there's any eggs or caterpillars, and a wasp will fly up, and I'm like, like run.
Yeah.
So
We got
hopefully the
that
trap
going on.
works.
Yeah, well, it
but
hasn't worked so far
it
because
hasn't
we didn't want to
worked.
hang it in
but
the
I
garden.
haven't seen any wasps either. So
Maybe.
but there's nothing there right now.
Yeah, there's-
They took everything.
Yeah.
So there's only one little tiny caterpillar I just found today.
Yeah, I think we need to move it because we haven't caught anything. So we'll probably end up moving it into the actual garden itself, and just if there's more wasps in there, hopefully.
Yeah, I put turkey
more
in
wasps,
it
the more-
too,
the
so
more
maybe I'll have
catches.
to put ham. Maybe that actually, because it said specifically ham, but I put turkey.
I thought I heard you say turkey.
Turkey ham is what it said.
Turkey ham? What is
I
that?
don't know what that is, so
Is
I
ham
was
a cut?
like,
Ham's a cut, isn't it?
I don't know. So I just put turkey,
Ham.
but it said turkey ham or ham.
Turkey ham.
Or
I've never
like
heard of that.
roast beef. I know,
What? They got all
so
these
weird.
high-end cuts?
I know.
They had the turkey hams and roast beef. If you guys want to put some Wagyu in the trap, wasps love it. They like lamb chops too.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Scary. But yeah, it's like, so everything that we're doing, it's this extra step of investment into it. It's just such a process. Everything comes with even this podcast. Like, I've been doing audio and doing video for a long time, doing vlogs, doing music, doing whatever. And I've been using my phone to just record and blah, blah, like just all the time. Never had an issue. Well, I mean, I have issues, but it's nothing that's like stopped me from doing a project. And then the last podcast that we were doing, my phone just so happens 8 minutes in to be completely full. Cannot record one more second. And there's no quick way to just, like, you can't transfer anything off of an iPhone just using what the iPhone comes with. You try to do like an iCloud thing to get, your iPhoto into something else, an external drive, so you can, get into it doesn't work. And then anything USB, Apple just they data block, so you can't transfer big files over USB. It has to go over Wi-Fi, and Wi-Fi takes an eternity. It's just something always going on, but we're pushing through it. We're getting it. We're making it happen.
Yeah.
It's a chore though.
One thing I have to say about the butterfly garden is it is a chore, but it's addicting now. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, for one, we have to keep going and getting more milkweed. So every time we go to Lucas Nursery, I'm like, ooh, look at these other pretty flowers. I'm like, I want more.
Well, we were driving around just because we were bored, and we keep seeing these trees, especially in Winter Park. It's a thinner tree, smaller. It's like a medium sized tree, but it's like a thinner profile, and it's got these almost got no leaves on it. It's
it's like
just flowers. And they're yellow, bright yellow. We're like, what is this
And
tree?
they fall.
Yeah, and
on the
even when they
ground.
fall on the ground, it just looks
so
nice.
Pretty.
Like it looks amazing.
They have that there. It was
We saw
called
one, a golden trumpet,
golden trumpet.
which would have. I mean, what an easy.
It doesn't even sound like a tree.
Doesn't sound like a tree, but it also sounds like so painfully obvious.
Yeah.
Like somebody, like you got these hibiscus, azalea, golden trumpet,
Yeah.
golden flowers, golden trumpet. Like that's just what it was. Very unimaginative, but we found it, and that might be going up in the yard. Maybe if we can find maybe a small one.
Yeah.
And just grow it
But
from scratch.
I was sitting outside today when the boys were taking a nap and was trying to tan my legs because they're like clear. They're so white. And I was just like admiring the garden. And
It looks good.
it just makes me happy. All the different colors. They're really
You guys want to see
pretty,
a
and
good picture I took?
there was,
I was just gonna tell
two
Marvin that.
butterflies just like flying around the garden the whole time I was out there.
Really?
Yeah.
Normally they just come and go.
You can see them eating. No, they were there the whole time.
Wow.
It was really nice.
If you guys want to see pictures of the garden, all the family stuff that we do is up on Instagram that we just started for kind of these different ventures that we're doing. So you could look up at the Creamer Fam on
Creamer, like coffee creamer.
Coffee Creamer, obviously, on Instagram, and then we haven't it'd probably be the same thing on Facebook. You can follow just our Instagrams. Yours is what, at Tiger Jade 90.
Tiger Jade 90.
And mine's at Charlie Creamer, like a
Tiger
normal
Queen.
like a normal adult. But yeah, so that's also going to be fun too because we want to just kind of we've been through and are going through and will go through so much, and we just have we're pretty confident in our foundation and our relationship, and the Lord's gotten us through just so many things and kept us sane through it, reasonably sane. And so we just want to we wanted to bring that, kind of package that up so that it's like I don't know, we have something to give back, something to offer as either encouragement or insight or just entertainment, something comedic, something you can relate to. Because I know we don't have like friends that we see regularly or at all.
No friends. Hashtag no friends.
Yeah, so and that's half our fault. But sometimes you just feel like you're the only person that's dealing with it, or that everybody else on social media is so much better of a life because there's just all the good snapshots. And, that's just not real life.
Yeah, we definitely live in a world right now with social media that portrays the best of moments.
Yeah, it's all the highlight. It's
like
just everyone's highlight
hard
reel.
because when we're bored or just whatever, like we're just scrolling through social media, and so you're sitting here and you're like, whatever situation you're going through that's not ideal, and then just seeing like, oh, this person's on vacation and this person's getting married and this person's having a baby and this person looks like they're doing really well financially and they're buying a house and da-da-da-da, and you're like,
It just looks so great.
none of that's happening for me. My life must really suck compared to everybody else's. And it makes it hard, whether you are a Christian or not and have faith or not, to see and feel like real reality that
Yeah.
even though that's what they're posting, you know, it's
Yeah.
not necessarily
It's like,
real
this
life.
is-
It's
this
not
is-
really what they're going through or feeling, you know?
My fourth time having to apply for unemployment. This is like temporary unemployment. I didn't lose
Why
my
would
job.
you think it's the third or fourth?
Well,
You've only applied once.
after the highway patrol.
Yeah.
After I lost my job at
You didn't
the,
apply.
I didn't.
No.
After those
You
music
probably
store.
didn't work at any of those other places long enough.
Worked at the music
to
store for
apply.
like almost a year, didn't I?
I don't know.
So that was my
You
second.
didn't though.
No, I quit because I got another job.
Yeah.
But I was on the.
That's right.
I was on the. That was a dicey one. I could have probably. I was getting ready to, and then when I quit the gym, I almost had to.
Yeah, you probably. I don't know if you would have qualified or not, but
Yeah, because that was rough. But I've lost my job and been basically unemployed a lot. A few of those were my fault. Almost all of them. Almost all of them was my fault. And this time it's not. But the track record, we've always gotten through it. We've always gotten through it. So I'm not worried at all about, like, I don't have this sense of like impending doom.
yeah, it's hard. Yeah, and it's odd because it's like
This is like worldwide pandemic.
the worst.
This is the worst
we've
situation we've ever
both
faced.
been unemployed, and we're just like, no. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it makes you feel a little better too, because you know that you're not the only one going through it. It's clear you're not alone.
Yeah.
You know, and normally you do feel alone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, why do I have to be going through something like this again? You know, but
Yeah.
now it's like it's just everybody. So if I post on Facebook like I did today that like trying to get through on the unemployment phone number is like trying to call a radio station to win something. It's like,
It's true.
and everyone's commenting, yep.
Because
Same
everyone else is
here.
doing it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
like-
it's crazy right now.
It makes you feel not so bad and not so frustrated because you know you're not alone. But at the same time, that's just from like a worldly perspective, from a faith perspective. Like we said, we've been through, I mean, it's hard. You can say like, how can it get worse than this? It's been worse, you know, and we made it through.
Yeah.
So we know that God will provide for us, even if it doesn't make sense how, because we've been there too.
Been there,
where
done that. Got the
the
t-shirt.
numbers didn't add up. Nothing added up. There was no way to like actually figure out how you're gonna make it, and you make it.
When I lost my job with the highway patrol, I was a state trooper for like 3.5, 4 years. And I didn't want to do it anymore. I got really careless with going to court, and over literally the dumbest thing they can fire you over is letting people get away with tickets. And I didn't let people get away with all of them. It's just a few. Mm-hmm. They just so happen to be cracking down on that and nothing else, because I don't want to get into it, but the guys that actually fired me were doing a million times worse. And there's different categories of things you can like do wrong. There's like ethical things where like you're not a good person. And then there's like you did like what are they like policy things. Like you didn't follow the procedure properly. Mm-hmm. And so the people that fired me, that investigated me, had gross ethical violations that came up later. And so it was very scarring for me. It was very hard. It was the first time I ever lost my job, and I didn't know how to react.
And we
just had Levi.
1-year-old.
Yeah, he was 1. And
And I was only working part-time.
you were
too.
working part-time at a salon. And it was we just moved to Tampa. We had only my parents there. No other friends or family to help or anything like that. It was crazy. It was literally crazy. And I honestly didn't think I was going to get fired, because I'm like, this is the dumbest thing they could fire somebody for. Literally. Every trooper every trooper, police officer, everything was like, that's the stupidest thing ever. And I was like, I know. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to apply for other police jobs, because state troopers is like top as far as training goes. our job's kind of, yeah, whatever. But as far as training goes, top trained. So I was like, I'm just going to get another job. So I applied for every agency I could think of. Small, big, didn't matter, everything. And I got through the entire hiring process with most of the agencies until they had to talk to the highway patrol. And then it was like not a callback.
Blacklisted.
Yeah, straight blacklisted. I remember I went for St. Cloud PD, and that's like a small city. It's kind of on the up. It's kind of growing. I was like, this is perfect. I went in. We did the CPAT or whatever, the physical test. I breezed through it. Wasn't even winded when I was done. And they were like, wow, what did you do before this? And I was like, I used to be a state trooper. They're like, oh, okay, cool. That's awesome. Blah, blah, blah. And I talked to the hiring officer, and she was cool. She was like, what happened? I was like, I got fired because of this. And they're like, oh, that's dumb. Don't worry about it. We'll call you later in the week. Never got a call back. I was like, are you kidding me? So somehow, my mom just happened to be selling clothes online. My mom's always had some kind of side business thing, whatever going. And it doesn't always make money net, but this just happened to be a thing. She was selling LuLaRoe. You guys might have heard of it. And we didn't have any money coming in. She was like, I'll start you up. Mm-hmm. I'll get your first order for you, and you sell the clothes.
We're like excited because I was excited because it was...
Yeah, not we.
I saw the potential in like what other people were making.
Other people were making the bank. They were making so much money. It.
But I was terrified.
We've never sold anything.
To like get on camera.
I'd been on camera a little bit. I barely even started vlogging at that point.
That's the last thing I want.
Yeah. So we just did it. On our first night, we sold, I don't know, a couple $100 worth of stuff.
No, I think our first night we sold like
over $1,000.
$900.
$900, almost $1,000 worth of stuff. We did really good opening night. So we just went out and killed it. And it was just so timely. We made every month that I was unemployed almost exactly what I made, if not more than I made with the Highway Patrol. Mm-hmm. Working from home. And it was a lot of work. Doing the live shows. I mean, it wasn't being a state trooper. It wasn't that much work. But and doing it together was fun too. And it was fun. We had a good time. We built a nice little community of friends.
But yeah, it was different because it's like.
But it just came in.
You have to put in.
It was perfect time.
100% effort.
We killed it, and then I took a job at a music store when I had the opportunity to take one somewhere else, and because I'm a musician, and I thought it was going to be great, and it turned out to not be at all, and. Literally before crap hit the fan and everybody started quitting, it was like right over New Year's. I got word that our dealership was hiring back in Orlando. So this all happened in Tampa, and I was trying to get back to Orlando, Orange County, Seminole County, somewhere over here where I've grown up, and.
Because we were living here again in Orlando, and you were still working.
Yeah, I was having to do a commute half the week, so it was just crazy. We were in a crazy living situation. We just had, we just found out that we were having Oliver during this. It was just, it was crazy. I tell you, it was crazy. We had to move back in because what happened was when I was working at the music store, I was like guaranteed basically, or I was hired to become a manager when they opened up these more locations. And that didn't happen like 10 days before I was supposed to be manager. They're like, no. And so I was like stuck working at like minimum wage or whatever it was, $10 an hour. It was like terrible. So we ended up losing the apartment that we were in. We couldn't afford it. So we had to move back in with your parents in Seminole County. I was in Hillsborough County on the halfway across the state, and I was driving back halfway during the week, staying like 3 days or 4 days over in Tampa, and then coming back to Orlando on my days off. It was horrible. And then we were having a second kid. We were living in the hottest room in your mom's house. It was, I'm so grateful for them for letting us be there, but it was absolutely terrible. I could not wait to get out. So they couldn't wait for us to get out too. It was terrible. And then right in the nick of time, like during that whole time, I had become a personal trainer, but I never trained anybody. And right before the music company went under, I quit. I'd found out that a dealership right down the street was hiring. And I was like, okay, I just spent the last 10 months doing sales. I can probably sell a car. So I got hired at this car dealership. And I never sold a car while I was there. Or maybe I sold 2 cars. It was terrible. I hated it.
You didn't get
I
any
hated
of the
it.
commissions.
I sold the worst deals on the worst cars, and I hated it. It was down and dirty. I really, really hated it. And I remember there was one night, this guy came out. His name was Andrew Zagrocki, and that dude is a homie for sure for life. He came out and he was all like, "Hey, you guys look pretty fit. Do you think you'd be interested in, having a personal trainer?" And I was like, "Nah, I am a personal trainer." And he was like, "Oh, you are? There's a gym opening up in Lake Mary. There's a 24-hour fitness opening up in Lake Mary. Maybe you should apply. It'd be kind of cool." I was like, "Oh, snap, dude, this is way better than this." Walked in, applied, and like 4 days later, they were like, "We want you to start on Monday for training." And I was like, "Oh, snap." I was in the middle of the worst sale of my life. It was horrible. The manager was yelling at me. And this lady, she was basically, I sold her a car that she was going to get repossessed like 3 days later. It was just terrible. It was a horrible thing. I felt so dirty, but she needed a car. Her car broke down in our lot. It was a crazy thing. So I get the job, and I'm a personal trainer now. I was crushing it doing personal training. All the clients ended up drying up, and I just so happened to be training the CEO of the company I work for right now. And I hit him up. "Brother, do you got anything?" And he's like, "Oh, you know what? Guy that I had just quit with no notice, or, like less than 2 weeks notice. And I need somebody else. It's kind of out of your wheelhouse, but if you want, I'll, give me a year. I'll work with you for at least a year. We'll do that." And, it's not exactly what I wanted to make, but it was close, and it's not close distance-wise. It's in Daytona Beach, and I live in Orlando. That's quite a drive, but it was exactly what the doctor ordered. Something nice and stable, regular hours, just consistent. PTO, the whole thing, just a regular job. It was just, and then when I took the job, though, I didn't have a car. Mm-hmm. I had just crashed our car, and it didn't get fixed right, and so it was totaled. And so the church that we were going to at the time, shout out to Lake Mary Church. There's a gentleman there who I don't think he wants me to share who he is.
I don't think so.
He told me not to tell anybody. But anyway, this guy, he knows who he is. The Lord just put it on his heart one night while we were praying. I was telling the Lord, I was just telling the guys, I'm like, "Look, pray for me. I got this opportunity to start making some, regular money, and I don't have a car." And he just happened to have an extra car. And so I guess the Lord put it on his heart to say, "Hey, give this man a car." So he gave me a car. And not a bad one.
And the money to register it, too.
And the money to register the car. Mm-hmm. So, it was, and that was, I think that happened on Saturday.
Yeah, it was
because we had to go to a wedding.
Yeah.
And I started on Monday. So it was 2 days before.
We took the job, you took the job, but we still didn't know how you were going to get there.
I just was like, I just knew the Lord's gotten us through so much. It's just always worked out. You can call it coincidence, whatever. If you're not a person of faith or whatever, that's fine. But I knew it was going to happen. And it was. We just prayed. I was getting my life together, and everything was just lining up. And then, boom, I get the car 48 hours before I need to show up for work. And the car was solid, reliable, still have it, no car payments. It was perfect. Mm-hmm. It was perfect.
Yeah.
And so now this is going on. And you know what? This could go on for a long time. Who knows? We don't know. But we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. One thing that we don't really even fight about anymore is finances. It's like the longer that we've been together, the more that like finances has just been this common, like we've just melded together. Like I understand the things that you want to spend money on, and you understand the things that I don't, or the things that I do. And that's just, that's one thing that we pretty much agree on. Like we both are loose with money at times in our own way, and we're both tight-fisted with money in our own way.
and we know when to reel
We
the
just
other back in when it's like,
yeah.
not right now.
So I mean, we're never like in disagreement about like, no, I want to spend money and blah blah blah, and I want to do this. It's always like, hey, that was a little much this month. You're like, yeah, it was a little much. Or you're like, hey, you went out to eat like 4 times this week. I'm like, yeah, okay, I won't. All right, blah blah blah. So it's just, as far as that goes, I know that in the future, as far as money and job, I know that's gonna be all right. So it's just it's as crazy as things are, it all works out.
Yeah, and it's nice to have some family time because, you know, this last year has been definitely like a year of growth for us financially and like stability wise, which we've been very grateful for, and it's been like such a like breath of fresh air to like be able to afford to live. It's been a long time.
Yeah, everything's been tight for a long time. We're finally like in a house. We're renting, but it's like a house. It's not an apartment. So the kids can run around and be loud, and we can just, it's so much more. I didn't know being in a house was so different than being in an apartment. I was like, what's the difference? There's just not somebody right next to you. That's just so much better.
Yeah, but so it's been a lot of work this year to like, you know, get everything locked down financially, get this house together. But, you know, because we did a lot of renovations before we moved in.
Major update.
You know, you travel for work occasionally. So, you know, sometimes it's like you feel like you don't get enough time.
Yeah.
And so I have to say it's nice to have time, and it's sort of oddly enough in weird ways answers some prayers. You know, it's like, yeah, it's scary to not have a job. Neither of us have a job. But, you know, it's like, but it's nice to have time together. I've always planned on like homeschooling the boys, so getting to like sit down and teach Levi stuff, it's been nice, because I've always, you know, since I went back to work full time, been having to rely on help from, you know, other people, and I'm grateful for that, but, you know, it's like, it's not the same for them as if it were their mom being there doing the whole day with them, you know, like the structure and whatever. So it's nice to get to like structure their day myself and teach them what I want them to be learning, and get to see firsthand like them growing instead of being like stuck in my office all day.
Yeah, like Oliver, he's learning how to do like like colors and like different words, sing along to songs and stuff. And I normally, like if I was at work, I would have just missed all that.
Yeah.
So when I'm like he's learning that stuff with me, which is awesome. So like it's always a bummer, which I know it comes with the territory. Like my mom homeschooled us and my dad was at work. So he missed the like initial of us learning all that stuff. But so I count it as a blessing that, you know, like Levi wrote his name all by himself today for the first time. And it came out pretty good.
Granted, not on paper.
Not on paper. Thank goodness it was on a piece of wood, the back of a piece of wood that, you know, had a design on the front. So I was totally fine with it. But, you know, it was just really cool to see like him just be like, hey, I'm going to try to write my name and, you know, actually be there for it. So one thing that I've learned over this whole like of my life of just ups and downs is if you don't focus on the positives, you will focus on the negatives.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
That's something you've had to learn.
I had a big wrestle.
I'm definitely the one that's more like looking at the positives.
Yeah, you have ways your time with that.
When
I tend to try, like,
opposite,
I've always thought of myself as being like a realist, whatever. And It was funny. I was just listening to Gary Vee a couple of days ago, and he was talking about like realist versus optimist versus like a pessimist. And he's like, no, there's just optimism and pessimism. You're not a realist. You're just a pessimist that throws in a little optimism every once in a while. And that was me. That was definitely been me for a long time. So, but I've been growing. I've been learning to just be like, you know what? Either this is going to be a bad day because I choose to make it a bad day, or it's going to be a good day because I choose to make it a good day.
Yeah.
And I don't always do that, but it's definitely been like, especially going through this, totally fine.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
I don't know how people get through stuff without being like optimistic
Alcohol.
or trying to see. Yeah, maybe. We don't drink, so optimism is my wine.
Liquid optimism.
My wine of choice.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I would literally go insane if I couldn't try and see like a positive in everything, you know? Because it's like, I've had a lot of loss in my life, and I lost my dad really young, and it's sad. Like, can't deny that. It hurts, it sucks, it's sad. Like, there's a lot of negative, but to try and like counter that, I've always tried to just realize that everything happens for a reason. And as much as I hate that happened and it's terrible, and it's like, I would love to go back and change it, I think about like, you know, that happening set me on the path that I'm on in my life. What I want to change everything that happened since then, like my dad passing away led us to River Run, which is
a
Pastor
church.
Mike, it's a church. Pastor Mike did my dad's funeral and then invited us to come to his new church, River Run. We went there. I hated it at first. Before I was like saved, I didn't want to go there. But
Well, your mom was friends with
she
his
was
wife.
friends with his wife, Linda. And so we started going there as a family, whether I liked it or not. Eventually I liked it and got saved and whatnot. But I was in the youth group and you were in the youth group. And so we met a long time before we ever started dating.
We got to talk about that in the next one.
Yeah,
That's
we
a
can talk
story and a
about that
half.
later. But so yeah, in my mind, when you're going through it at that time, it's hard to think about, you know, everything happens for a reason, but it's true because it's like
When you look back,
there's a
it shows it.
specific path. Like it's very easy to see now that that specific event led me on this very specific path that is my life, you know, meeting my spouse and having my kids. My kids, like if I didn't go to that church, I might not have met you. And if I hadn't met you,
definitely wouldn't have met me because I didn't go anywhere else.
I wouldn't have the kids that I have now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change any of that, you know.
I wouldn't do anything
And
to change the
it's,
kids.
Like, it makes me get choked up.
Or you.
Just even thinking, you know, that had such an effect on my life and that, like, those two things can't coexist, you know. But, you know, it's life. And so that helps me. I don't know. That's my optimistic side, just thinking about, you know, everything happens for a reason. And I can use that as an example in my life of how, even though this stinks right now, it's leading me down a path it's going to be fine, you know?
One day our kids are going to ask us, like, hey, tell us about that coronavirus thing back when I was 4. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then, you know, we're going to be able to look back and be like, yeah, it was crazy. And people were stabbing each other over toilet paper. And there was this lady who fed her husband to the tigers. And all this stuff happened. And, you know, we were both out of a job and blah, 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 and this thing, that, and the other thing. But we started a podcast and we started the butterfly thing, and that's when you first started getting homeschooled, and that's when this is that, and so there's going to be like a whole line of positive that came out of it, and who knows where any of this leads to down the road, but I know from looking back on my life now that one day I'm going to look back on this day and it's going to be positive. So
Yeah.
y'all got to keep your head up. I know it's tough. I know some people are just laid off completely. They're not getting their job back, and I'm very fortunate to hope. I'm pretty much going to get mine back. I think.
Yeah, I mean, the intention is there.
Yeah, the intent is that I get my job back. But as you guys, as we have more stories to share and stuff like that about our life, we just hope that it's a big encouragement to everybody listening. So if somebody you think might benefit from, the things that you do hear that us talk about, share the video or the audio, or just send them our way. And we enjoy sharing this stuff because it means so much to us, and we hope that it means, even half as much to those of you who are listening.
Yeah, and I think like future episodes we'll probably try and focus more on maybe like a topic.
It's going to be a lot of
two.
stories.
Yeah.
Stories and topics and stuff like that. I mean,
Opinions.
we'll keep it light
Yeah.
most of the time, I think. But
Family. Fun,
yeah, there's definitely a lot. There's just so much that we've gone through.
parenting.
There's so much that we've learned, from either career things or relationship things or just life,
Job
being
loss.
kids. Yeah, it just
Family loss.
drama stuff. Just we were raised totally different,
Yeah.
and just different kind of stuff like that. So, I would like to think that we didn't go through all of that, for I don't want to say no reason, because it makes us the people that we are, but hopefully that there's like a bigger, broad, influence that we can have with just the things that we've gathered. Hopefully people can glean something from it. So, but yeah, I think that'll wrap it up. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in that next one. Can I say that? I think other people say that. We need an outro? See you later, all you cool cats and kittens. Can't say that either.
See ya.
I don't know. Fine. See you in the next one.